Hello, my name is Danny Bonaventura. I'm a graduate assistant here at the Academic Services Center for Student Athletes at Tulane, and I'm also a first-year Master of Social Work student, which I just started my program in August. Today I'm going to be talking about overcoming adversity, specifically during my undergraduate career at Robert Morris University, and how resilience helped me to overcome that adversity and become the man that I am today. When I first arrived on campus at Robert Morris University, most of my identity was tied up in my life as a football player. I was a student, obviously, and I was a brother to my three brothers and a son to my mom and dad, but my football player identity was the biggest thing in my life. When I got there, though, I realized football wasn't the most important part of my life. My first semester there, I suffered the worst failing grade I'd ever received, and I got a 34 on one of my quizzes. This quiz was in my Intro to Sport Management class, which was really concerning to me because that was my major, and I knew I wanted to do well in that class. And during that time, I felt defeated, and I really just felt overwhelmed. I didn't know if I was cut out for college. And I went to my professor, and I expressed this to her and told her that I didn't feel prepared. And frankly, I told her that I thought the quiz was too hard, and I thought it was a little bit unfair. And she said that she understood how I felt, and she was very consoling, but she also asked me how much work I had put in. And I had been somebody that was able to get by on my natural ability a lot of times in the classroom. I definitely worked hard, but not as hard as I worked on the athletic field. And she challenged me to put in more work, and that she believed in me despite my failing grade, and that she knew I could do great things. And eventually I overcame that and learned to develop better study habits, and I ended up with an A- in that class. But more importantly, Dr. A became a great mentor for me and allowed me to realize that even though I was separated from my family by 8 hours, which is the longest distance I'd ever been from them, that my family was always going to love me no matter what, and that true love can overcome any test, and the distance was not going to be something that defined the relationship with the people I loved. During college, I also suffered a couple of injuries during my football playing career that really tested my patience and put me through some of the most trying times. My freshman year, I suffered a high ankle sprain, which kept me out for the last 4 weeks of the season, and I ended up being on crutches, and our campus at Robert Morris is very hilly, so it was a difficult time getting around, and that was kind of frustrating sometimes. And then with that came an entire rehab process that caused me to miss most of the spring. And then the following year, my sophomore year, I suffered a hamstring strain, which eventually turned into a hamstring tear because I tried to rush back onto the field too quickly. And both of these injuries, I felt lonely. I couldn't be out on the team, on the field with my team. And along with that, I wasn't able to practice, but I also wasn't able to travel when we had road games. So a lot of times I was alone in my dorm room just watching our games on TV, wishing I could be out there with my brothers. But during that time, I leaned on my teammates as a support group, and some of the other guys that would not travel would invite me to go watch a movie or play video games with them, and that allowed me to feel better about myself and the fact that I wasn't able to be out there on the field contributing. And come around to my junior year, I was in the best shape of my life. I had rehab through both injuries, and I felt like I was ready to contribute on the field. But during that same time, the coaches didn't feel like I was ready to contribute, and they had some new recruits that were ahead of me on the depth chart. And this was really disheartening to me because I felt like I had overcome a lot and I had put in all this work and I felt I was ready to play, but they weren't on the same page as me. So I went to Dr. A, my trusty mentor, and she said that she had no doubt that I could succeed athletically if I did transfer to another institution. But she encouraged me to stay here because I'd accomplished so much in the classroom already, and she felt like I was in a good place. I had made many of my best friends during my time in college there, and she thought that I should stay and be a part of that sport management program until I graduated. Ultimately, I talked to my support group of my three brothers and my parents, and they encouraged me to do that same thing and stay at Robert Morris University. And I'm glad that I did because that summer I ended up securing an internship with the San Antonio Spurs, and I was named the Sport Management Student of the Year for Robert Morris. But there was still tough times. One of my best friends who had made during that time in college, he suffered a heart attack, and I was in his room with him when it happened, and he literally died right in my arms. And it was one of the toughest things I've ever had to encounter in my life. And I could have let that hold me back. I thought about not going to my internship at one point because it was too much for me to handle. But I decided that I wasn't going to let this brokenness define me, and that I could only learn from this. And one thing that my friend Marco that had passed taught me was that you should never let anything in life hold you back from achieving your goals. And I decided not to let the sadness from losing him define my life, but rather the lessons that he taught me through his life and apply them to my own. And I ended up having one of the best summers of my life that year. And I stayed in San Antonio for 2 years and worked there before I came here to Tulane. And the lesson that I want to tell all of you today out of everything that I went through is that you shouldn't let your brokenness define you. Sometimes something beautiful can come out of your brokenness. And I know that without going through all that adversity, I wouldn't be the man that I am today. What I would like students to know about being resilient is to be ready, because it's going to happen to you. Some ways that I deal with adversity and being resilient are working out, whether it be through lifting weights or going for a run to take my mind off of things. Spending time with people I love, whether it be watching a movie, watching football, or playing some video games. Also spending time on the phone or through FaceTime with people I love that are spread across the country, because it's the 4th different city I've lived in, is really important to me. And spending time with my Bible is really important. I like to read my Bible and learn the different lessons that are in there and apply them to my own life. Those are some of the ways that I use, and you need to develop your own ways to overcome adversity and have that support system to fall back on. Becoming a mentor to somebody is really something that people take pride in, so you can find your own mentor and use them in your life to overcome adversity as well.